So in this year's 2021 NBA draft, for the first time in a very long time, over 3 decades, the Pistons will have the first pick in the NBA draft. This is obviously a big deal for the Pistons because it seems like they rarely even have a high pick in general. For the last few years, they've been stuck in a place of they're not good enough to be one of the better teams in the league, and they're not bad enough to be one of the worst teams in the league where they could get a good pick. They're in the worst position in the NBA, which is being stuck right in the middle. But now they have the number 1 pick in the draft, and they can absolutely not mess up this pick. And that has led me where in today's video I will be discussing whether or not the Pistons should trade their pick, and I'll just be talking about who I think they will draft and talking about the player who they'll draft and all of that. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content and touch my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Comment in this video, start a conversation with me as I do respond to every single one of my comments, and play that intro. To start the video off, if the Pistons do keep their pick or if they trade it or anything like that, I guarantee you they will be selecting Cade Cunningham with the first pick. I don't even think there's an argument for any of the other prospects for going number 1 over Cade Cunningham. This is mainly due to the fact that all the reports say that he's going number 1, and Cunningham is just clearly the best player in this draft. That doesn't mean he's going to be the best prospect going forward, because for example, in the 2016 NBA draft, Ben Simmons was clearly the best prospect. Like, everyone knew Philadelphia was going to take him number 1, and he hasn't been the best in the 2016 draft. Then in the 2018 draft, DeAndre Ayton was clearly going to be the number 1 pick, and he hasn't turned out the best out of everyone in that class. He's still good, and Ben Simmons is still good, but there just haven't been no best in their class, even though many people thought they would before. And I guarantee you Cade Cunningham is going to get selected first overall. I think it's a really smart move due to the fact that he is a legit 6'8" point guard, meaning he'll be an absolute nightmare for smaller guards in the NBA. And he's actually shown the ability to be able to use his height against smaller defenders in the post. He's an unselfish player who could pass the ball to open teammates. He's not a generational passer or anything like that, but he definitely could play the point guard position and do a decent enough at passing the ball. And due to his height, he's a really good rebounder, and he actually goes for rebounds and clashes the grass. He excels very well in the pick and roll as a ball handler, and he's really good in transition. Cade is also a pretty good finisher, and he can do floaters and things like that, and he has creative ways to finish at the rim even over bigger players, and he's a pretty good ball handler. He can often beat defenders off the dribble. He's also a very good shooter since he shot 40% from 3 in college. He just doesn't hit only catch and shoot 3-pointers. He can hit step back ones, off the dribble ones. His only weakness is that he's not a crazy athletic player, and he's not really fast, and he can't jump that high compared to the NBA level. He also sometimes turns the ball over a lot, and he's not really a bad defender, but he doesn't look like he'll be a lockdown defender due to his lack of lateral quickness. But he is a 6'8" point guard, so he can't be that bad. But Cade clearly looks like he's going to be the best prospect in my opinion, and I guarantee you, like I absolutely guarantee you, he's going number 1, and I think he has superstar potential. And his game kind of reminds me a little bit of Luka Doncic. Not saying he's going to be as good as him, but the way he plays, because he's not crazy athletic and he uses his skill a lot, reminds me of him. Also, let me not forget his height. Now to discuss why the Pistons shouldn't trade this pick. It's pretty obvious. This team literally hasn't had a pick this high in decades, and trading it just doesn't make too much sense in my opinion. Because when you get the number 1 pick, you literally get to choose anyone out of the draft with the first pick, obviously. And in a draft that's filled with so much talent and star players, you have the first pick, there's no way you should be trading that. They're going to select Cade Cunningham for sure. There's no doubt about that. And he's a guy who has superstar potential. And the Pistons haven't had a superstar on their team since Isaiah Thomas played with the bad boy Pistons, if we're being honest. Because those 2000 Pistons teams were good, but they were a team that didn't have a superstar. That's what made them so special and unique, was the fact that they won a championship without having a superstar player on their team. And having a superstar player on your team definitely is a huge deal, because superstars can elevate up a low average franchise like the Pistons and turn them back into title contenders if they're built around well. I don't know why you would take the chance and get rid of a pick like this, especially in a draft like this that is known for its talent, and I think Cade could fit well with this roster. because underratedly, the Pistons actually have some nice pieces and like nice young pieces. They have a guy like Killian Hayes who had a pretty bad rookie season, but I'm not ready to give up on him yet. They also have Isaiah Stewart, who's a good rebounder and defender. He's pretty young as well. Saddiq Bey obviously had a really impressive rookie season as he showed he could shoot the 3-ball at a good level and he can actually handle the ball and attack the rim. They have Saban Lee, who had a few big games this season. They also have this Hamidou Diallo, who looks like he could be a solid player. Sekou Naboya hasn't really done much to start his career, but he has the skills to be a solid NBA player. So the Pistons low-key have some nice young players. They also have Dwayne Casey, who's not the worst coach in the NBA. So I think he could do a solid job developing Cade because he developed players like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan into stars. Alongside Cade Cunningham, I'm not saying he's going to make them a playoff team immediately, but maybe in the future, those pieces could help them get back to that level. Also, you have to realize that if the Pistons were to do a trade for the #1 pick, obviously they would get some decent things in return and some things that they could probably get, like that have been rumored I saw online, where that the Cavaliers would give up their 3rd pick this year, Colin Sexton, and 3 other future first-round picks. And I'm not gonna lie, if they get offers like that, then yes, maybe they should trade the #1 pick, but I feel like that might be a little bit too much for the #1 pick for the Cavaliers. Another trade has been rumored is Houston sending them the 2nd pick, Christian Wood and Jason Tate, and a future first-round pick. And in a move like that, I honestly would accept that as well. But now that I think about it, if they get offers like this that I just said, then maybe they should trade them the first pick in the draft, obviously. But that seems like a lot of things to give up, even for the 1st overall pick. So unless they're getting offers like that, I don't think they should trade it. But now to discuss why the Pistons should trade the pick, and the main reason they should is simply due to the fact that they could get overpaid for it. Because as I said, this is a draft that is looked at as one of the more talented drafts over the past few years, and many teams think Cade Cunningham has superstar potential, and I would tend to agree with them. So those teams are probably looking to give up an arm and leg for that #1 pick. And simply, if teams are going to overpay to get that #1 pick, then and only then should the Pistons give that pick up. But even if teams are giving up a lot for that pick, if you truly believe Cade Cunningham has a player who's going to be a superstar from like seeing his workouts or anything like that, then you shouldn't trade it, because in the long run, if you get a trade from the Cavaliers, for example, you get like Colin Sexton, a 3rd pick, and then 3 future first-round picks or something like that, and then Cade Cunningham turned into a top 10 player, those assets won't be worth what his value will be in the future, and it's gonna look like a dumb trade. That's like if the Celtics traded Jason Tatum for those same assets when he was a rookie, it would look like an L, because now whatever team they traded him to, they would have a top 10 player, whereas the Celtics would just have some first-round picks or something. But nonetheless, if you don't think Cade is going to be for sure a superstar, then I would be comfortable with trading him as long as I get a lot in return. And teams I think that will offer the most are teams like the Cavs, Rockets to a certain degree, and obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know what other teams will, to be honest, but I guarantee you there will be more rumors coming out as we get closer to the NBA draft. But to conclude the video, I think Cade Cunningham will go to the Pistons for sure. I don't think they should trade this #1 pick, and I don't think they will. I think the Pistons have one of the underratedly good futures in the NBA. Not a bright future like the Oklahoma City Thunder, Atlanta Hawks, or something like that, but they don't have a complete dead future, kind of like the Cavaliers or the Timberwolves. So I think whether or not the Pistons trade this pick, they'll still be doing good, because I still don't think they're complete idiots to where they're going to trade this pick for something stupid. But I just think there's a legit chance if they keep the pick, it could come back to bite them in the you-know-what. And if they trade the pick, there's a chance it could come back to bite them in the you-know-what. So we're just gonna have to see. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Pistons should trade their pick. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want everyday content. I post every single day. I also reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Comments, videos, start conversation with me, as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.